My name's Peter Hall. I'm currently a volunteer at Aero Legends, so I've been volunteering there for just over a year now. I grew up in Kent and now live in Essex, not far from North Weald. I've always been a Spitfire nut, always been into military research, and this is just the perfect opportunity for me, really. Well, as a volunteer, the first day I did it, I found myself cleaning a Spitfire, and I was just in heaven, really, you know. But since then, it's meeting and greeting customers. It's getting them strapped into the aircraft, doing the safety briefing for them when they're in the aircraft, refueling the aircraft, and then once they've finished, they've all got the Spitfire grin. It lasts about a week until your face returns to normal. Yeah, the boss told me that we were going to buy a new Spitfire, and I was just massively excited straight away, excited we were going to get a new aircraft, and also my obsession of research could possibly be used. It's a bit like a police investigation, really. You have to go back to the best evidence, so documentary written at the time's the best. And the first thing is the aircraft movement cards, which are all held at the RAF Museum in Hendon. It's a basic filing card system, handwritten, and every aircraft had one, and most of them appear to have survived. So it tells you the basic information of, you know, that it's a Spitfire Mark 9, that it was built at Castle Bromwich Aircraft Factory near Birmingham, and it tells you about the squadrons that it was with from beginning to end. Yeah, so the card shows that it's a Spitfire Mark 9 powered by a Merlin 66, built, as I said, at Vickers Armstrong, Castle Bromwich, which was a massive aircraft factory, still there, used by Jaguar Land Rover for car production. But it shows you that the aircraft was in storage for a while. It shows you that it was issued on this day, 78 years ago, to 411 Squadron, who were based out in Belgium, near Brussels. They went to 403 Squadron, finally 443 Squadron, and then it's shown as missing, interestingly, on the 18th of January. That's the first piece of evidence you go to find out about the history of an aircraft. Yeah, so there are 3 Canadian squadrons. So the first squadron, 411, Aero Legends Elizabeth, was used by 411 Squadron back in July 44. But they were based at that time at an ex-Luftwaffe aerodrome not far from Brussels. An interesting part of the war, really. If you can imagine, the Battle of Britain is long gone, 3 years earlier. The D-Day landings have occurred, and now the Allies are pushing through Belgium into Holland and then into Germany. So the whole MJ story is around that period of the war. Fairly soon afterwards, sort of 19th of October 44, she went to 403 Canadian Squadron, Royal Canadian Air Force, the Wolf Squadron. It was used by them sort of 10 combat flights, 10 combat missions, and then flown mostly by Pilot Officer Steve Butt. And then they converted to the Mark 16 Spitfire at the very beginning of December 44, and they appear to have left their Mark 9s on the airfield at Evere, where they were. And then 443 Squadron, Canadian, the Hornet Squadron, also on the same airfield. They appear to have walked across the airfield and helped themselves to at least 3 403 Squadron aircraft, and the MJ was with 443 until the end, until the crash on the 13th of January 45. The deliveries are pretty standard. There's a standard, you will paint your aircraft like this. So by that time it was dark green, ocean grey for the upper surfaces and a camouflage pattern, and then underneath was medium sea grey. Had a yellow identification lines on the leading edge of the aircraft. Invasion stripes had long gone by then. We were almost on the German border, so they'd long gone by then. So it was that sort of basic livery, just the same as Elizabeth, the other Aero Legends 2-seater Spitfire is. All aircraft, they had this print's probably the best one here, the squadron code. So KH is the squadron code for 403 Squadron, so all their aircraft will be KH. The difficult bit is finding the individual aircraft number, and I know that the boss is very keen to get it as accurate as possible, and that's where I had the best bit of luck of the whole project. Main pilot on 403 was Pilot Officer Steve Butt. He died in something like 2010. I simply emailed, contacted a Canadian Air Force forum and asked if anybody knew where his logbook was, and somebody said, yeah, I'm sure that his daughter gave it to the Canadian Air Force Museum when he died in 2013. Emailed them, and sure enough, they've got it. They scanned it for me, the relevant pages when he was flying. So what you're looking for is pray that he recorded code letters, not serial letters, and then also that the code letter in his logbook matches up with the operational record book, which recorded serial numbers, and I'm very pleased to say it's a perfect match. So absolutely 100%, all the missions match up. Really chuffed to find out that MJ was D, K-8D, D for dog. So really lovely find that, very pleased with that. This aircraft's not flown since the 13th of January 45, and then whoever does that first flight, they know it will fly in theory, but they'll be taking off probably from Duxford, you know, for the first time, leaving the ground and where she belongs since 1945. That's going to be a truly amazing occasion. There's a really good part of this story which I absolutely love, which is the connection with Aero Legend's current bases and this Spitfire and our other one. So 411 Squadron was Elizabeth, also operated MJ. Our current operating bases are Headcorn and North Weald, and 403 Squadron was based at both of those bases. In fact, as you come out of the Aero Legends office, there's a memorial on the left-hand side of the door which has got 403 Squadron on it. So it's a lovely rounded thing. So, you know, it's just little things like that, really. Was it all right?
Really good. I think that's super nice.
Face for radio. Yeah.